It was just another ordinary night, until time stopped. For the first time, humanity felt the true weight of the unknown. And as the world stood still, so did the answers they'd been searching for. The world had always felt like it was moving at breakneck speed. People rushing to work, emails piling up, and life happening faster than anyone could keep up with. But on this night, something strange happened. It was around midnight, and the world went silent. No car horns, no chatter from passing pedestrians, nothing. People didn't even realize it at first. They kept moving as if nothing had changed. But something was different. Something felt wrong. Mark was a night shift worker, used to the stillness of the late hours. He was closing up the convenience store when he first noticed it. The hum of the streetlights, the soft buzz of the machines, even the faint breeze in the air all stopped. It was as if the universe itself had held its breath. He looked outside, seeing the city frozen in time, cars halted mid-motion, people standing perfectly still, as if caught in some kind of trance. Mark took a few steps outside. His first thought was that the power had gone out, but the lights were still on. It was as if the entire world had paused. The only thing that moved was the faint glow of the stars overhead, their usual shimmer now more intense and purposeful. It wasn't just the world that had stopped, it was time itself. No ticking clocks, no movement in shadows. Everything stood in place, as if the world was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. As Mark stood there, trying to make sense of what was happening, a sound broke through the silence, faint, almost imperceptible, but growing louder. It was a high-pitched hum, unlike anything he'd ever heard before. It wasn't the wind, nor the sound of any machinery. It felt otherworldly. And then, without warning, the first figure appeared. It wasn't human. Its shape was vaguely humanoid, but its features were obscured, cloaked in an aura that seemed to distort the air around it. Mark tried to move, but his body felt like it was locked in place. The figure seemed to glide toward him, unaffected by the frozen world. When it finally stopped in front of him, Mark felt a rush of energy he couldn't explain. The figure's voice echoed in his mind, bypassing the need for speech. "You're not the only one who's aware, human." And just like that, time moved again. The world wasn't the same after that night. It had been days, but Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. He wasn't sure if it was the alien figure or the strange hum in the air that had caused the shift, but he knew one thing for certain: the world was different now. Time didn't feel like it used to. The next morning, Mark noticed the change. People still moved in their usual way, but they were all a little off. Their movements seemed too fast, too slow at times, like they were skipping through moments. And the conversations he overheard. They felt like echoes of themselves, like everyone was repeating the same lines over and over again, unsure of where the words ended and reality began. Curious, Mark did what any sensible person would do: he went looking for answers. He tried to find anyone who might have witnessed the strange pause in time. To his surprise, there were others. People who had felt the same disorienting shift. Sarah, an old friend from his childhood, was one of them. She'd felt it, too. She'd been at home, watching TV, when suddenly, everything stopped. But as they talked about it, Mark realized something darker was at play. Sarah described feeling like she was being watched, not just by people, but by something beyond the earth. She'd seen flashes of light in the sky, and at night, there were strange noises from the clouds. Even more unsettling was the idea that some of the people who had been frozen didn't seem quite the same afterward. They moved differently, acted differently. Mark began to look into reports of other strange phenomena. People all over the world had experienced time slowing down or stopping entirely. And then the reports started coming in: strange objects appearing in the skies, massive ships that were only visible for a few seconds before vanishing into thin air. Something was happening, something big. And it was connected to the aliens Mark had encountered. But why had they come? What did they want? The mystery deepened as Mark and Sarah dove further into the enigma. They managed to find others who had experienced similar strange occurrences. There was something happening to people who had felt time stop. They were changing, not physically, but mentally. Some said they felt more connected to the world around them, as if they could sense things they couldn't before. Others described visions, glimpses of distant stars, strange alien landscapes, and a powerful, unspoken connection to the universe. As the weeks passed, Mark's unease grew. There was no telling who had been altered or what kind of consequences would come from this. But then, just as the tension reached its peak, the truth was revealed. The aliens weren't here to invade. They were here to help. Humanity had unknowingly crossed a threshold in its development, and the pause in time was a necessary intervention. The aliens, in their advanced state, had been watching Earth for centuries. They had seen the rise and fall of civilizations, the cycle of war and peace. And they had seen that humanity was on the verge of a great awakening. But it wasn't time yet. Not until humanity learned to understand its place in the universe. The alien figures, those who had appeared during the pause, were not here to conquer, they were here to guide. The time stop had been a test, a way for humanity to reflect, to stop in their tracks, and understand the consequences of their actions before moving forward. But there was a catch. Only those who had been directly affected by the time pause were aware of the change. Most of the world would go on as if nothing had happened, oblivious to the shift that had occurred. Those who had been touched by the aliens were now the keepers of a new consciousness, a link to the cosmos. Mark and Sarah were among the few who had been chosen. They had seen the truth. The next step was clear: they had to prepare the world for what was coming. But the path wasn't easy. There were those who would reject the truth, who would fight the inevitable change. The aliens had given them the knowledge, but it was up to humanity to decide how to use it. In the end, the pause in time was not the end of the world. It was just the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. A chapter where the boundaries of space, time, and consciousness no longer confined them. The story explores several ethical considerations. Consent and free will. The aliens' intervention challenges the idea of consent, as they affect the lives of humans without their direct permission. However, their ultimate goal is not to harm but to elevate, leaving humanity with the freedom to choose how to respond. Responsibility to Earth and the cosmos. The story touches on humanity's responsibility toward its own planet and the broader universe. The aliens intervene because they see humanity's potential for greater understanding and connection, urging humanity to take responsibility for its actions, both on Earth and beyond. Coexistence with the unknown. The ethical dilemma of how to deal with beings beyond our comprehension is also central. The aliens offer wisdom, but it's up to humanity to decide how to accept it, balancing the fear of the unknown with the possibility of profound growth. Individual transformation and collective impact. Mark and Sarah's personal transformations echo the ethical question of how much one individual's change can impact the collective. The story emphasizes the need for personal responsibility, as individuals shape the future of humanity. In conclusion, When Time Stopped for Them not only challenges humanity's understanding of time and space but also forces us to reflect on our role in a larger cosmic framework, pushing us toward a deeper sense of unity and purpose.